My co-host is asleep, so I guess I'll do this by myself. You find yourself lost in Irvingland. You know, when Stargate SG-1 decided that Thor and the other Norse deities were really 3-foot-tall hairless aliens, I decided I could go with it, especially since those aliens could project images that were much more along the lines of what most humans of the time would have considered gods. And then there's this.
Last week, as you recall, we left our space pioneers rehearsing a play, unaware their harmless words were now summoning the ancient Norse gods from the void of space.
How did they come up with a Norse summoning spell? I have got to hear what this sounds like.
I am Freya. I love the clouds in the sky, the birds on high, the silver fishes below, under the ground all the worms aglow.
Deathless prose.
I love... Why do I have to be Freya, Dr. Smith? I've only got 4 lines.
Summoning spells have changed a lot over the centuries. And now we have summoning rectangles. We push pictures on them and people bring us food. You may remember that last time what they summoned was a pair of metal gloves that attached themselves to Dr. Smith's hands and weren't inclined to let go.
Help me up, my boy. Oh, dear.
It's a good thing the poor defenseless little adult had the big strong 10-year-old boy to rescue him. The kids didn't see where the gloves came from, and Dr. Smith's story sounds like a Dr. Smith story.
I tell you, we've incurred the wrath of the gods. We were meant to be smitten by the legendary gloves of that celebrated god. Oh dear, what is the name of that celebrated god who wore those legendary gloves?
If you can't even remember his name, I'm going to guess about 3 people celebrated him.
Dr. Smith, I think we're taking our acting too seriously. I certainly don't want to wear any costumes that can cause cosmic storms.
Scoff, if you will. I shall try to endure the pain of rejection.
Oh, the pain of it all! The awesome agony of it all! The... Line?
Impeccable honesty and question my word. Very well, you may go. Go back to the Jupiter, too. Back to the bosoms of fellow doubters and
But for a change, the children aren't buying it.
There must be some power source in here, but I just can't seem to find it. Maybe it was just static electricity.
Indubitably. It must surely be time for lunch. I think you'd best go back to camp. I shall be along presently.
You're not going to fool around with those gloves, are you?
Certainly not. I merely wish to be alone to entertain my muse. Leave me.
Come on, Penny. He's in one of his moods.
They can both see the wheels turning in his head, but none of us knows what kind of scheme he's cranking out yet. If past experience is any indicator, we know it'll turn out badly, so he should save time and just skip to the part where he accidentally stomps his own foot and falls into a vat of space tapioca or whatever.
Nordic runes. The writings of the ancient Vikings. Now, how did they come here? Could it be? No, it couldn't be. Odin was a myth. But if they did really come from... Oh, my. Imagine the power for the one who possesses these gloves.
Power to do what? We're obviously talking about Thor here. He was the god of thunder and lightning. His hammer and other stuff enabled him to create storms. His name means thunder. How useful is that kind of power to you, Doctor? Still, power is power, and there's never enough power and wealth for the greedy at heart, so he puts them on again. That's right! He called the 800 number within the time limit and qualified for the extra added gift.
Looks like a hammer. An implement of labor. You jest. Still, it must have some function.
Does he not know what one does with a hammer?
Guide me to the richest treasures in all space. Take me back to Earth.
If he makes a habit of talking to hand tools, I think the family needs to know about it.
Bah, just a worthless, useless hammer.
It didn't talk back, so it must be worthless and useless, and I think Smith is even further out of his gourd than usual, and besides, kaboom.
What have I...
He doesn't remember much about the Thor legends, does he? If nothing else, Thor had been in comic books since 1962, and by this time all of the Marvel characters were a genuine phenomenon, so he has no excuse. That's a fail, Smith. He didn't cause any real damage, but nobody can figure out what happened. Maybe Dr. Smith can shed some light on it?
Then you didn't feel the earth tremor?
Earth tremor? What earth tremor? Oh, good heavens, don't tell me that Jupiter too was in peril and I was not here to protect you all. Oh, wretched victim of happenstance that I am.
John's posture says it all. Smith also denies knowing anything about any gloves and hints that it must be another of the kids' fantasy stories. Thing is, they have a record of telling fantasy stories that turn out to be true. Dr. Smith, not so much. What he does have is a plan. It involves a gadget that the robot is carrying.
Fortunately, you have your electronic synthesizer unit. I shall require the use of it.
My simulator is to be used only to reproduce vital component parts.
That's right, they have their own version of a replicator for this one episode. Smith uses it to make a duplicate pair of the gloves. What does he plan to do with them?
Every time I come upon a really wondrous device, some sneaky alien comes along and takes it away from me. But this time, I shall be prepared.
When that guy whose name he can't remember comes looking for the gloves, he'll give him the fake pair. I'm sure that'll work out just fine for him, especially after the first time What's-His-Noodle tries to use them.
Oh, joy, oh, bliss. Now I shall have all the treasures in the entire universe. And then my triumphant return to Earth.
How do you figure that, Doctor? Again, the gloves and hammer give you the power to make weather. That's it. Even Thor can't make a cloud big enough to carry you 100 light years through space, so you still have no way to go anywhere.
Hi, Dr. Smith. I've been wanting to talk to you.
Really? About what?
About those gloves you found. I wonder if they had anything to do with that earth tremor.
That's ridiculous, my dear boy. A perfectly harmless pair of gloves. They were a part of my costume for the play.
But, Dr. Smith, you said those gloves dropped out of the sky.
Merely an optical illusion.
Hold on. You screamed in terror when they appeared on your hands. You said you saw them drop out of the sky and you were so afraid of them, Will had to pull them off you. But all that was an optical illusion and you made the gloves yourself. So you got terrified of harmless gloves that you created because when you put them on, it looked like they were dropping out of the sky and you didn't know what they were. Am I following this so far? And what about the spitting and sparking and sputtering?
I merely dipped the gloves in some metallic paint to give them the appearance of steel. Metal is a conductor of electricity, as you well know. And there happened to be an electrical storm at the time. Ergo, an electrical system was created around the gloves. It's really quite simple.
So, St. Elmo's fire. The gloves were on your hands when that happened, and such an electrical system is going to have a lot of electricalness in it, way more than any electric chair ever built. So now please explain why your heart is still beating.
Danger, danger.
Hey, that was Debbie's dad. But Smith's day is going to get even worse. As for you, the viewer, I suggest you cover your ears. What's she saying, you ask? Well, when people saw that winged horse, they wondered if they were stoned. She was answering them, no, he's real. You're not hi-ya-tall, hi-ya-tall. That's Brunhilde, the Valkyrie. She's looking for the great hero who killed the beast. If he's dead, as he appears to be, she'll carry him off to Valhalla.
If you let go of him, I will prove he is not dead.
Then you awaken him. I can only awaken dead heroes.
I shall employ the only certain method. Dr. Smith, it is time to eat.
Medium rare for me.
Definitely not dead enough to be a customer for her.
I have come to the hammer of Thor.
Thor, of course. The legendary hammer of Thor.
Never before has the hammer left the hand of Thor, the most powerful of all Valhalla's warriors.
First, Odin might quibble with that. Second, if he's one of Valhalla's warriors, that means he's dead. I think you mean Asgard's warriors. Third, I know Richard Wagner wrote a 4-day-long opera based on all this, but do you have to talk in an operatic voice all the time? She says the hammer seeks out its own hero to possess it. It's Harry Potter's wand. Now she's looking for this great hero that it has chosen. I'm not sure she's grasped what she's looking at yet.
You mean you're not angry?
Angry? Ho! Whoever possesses the hammer rules all. His will, his slightest command will be obeyed. All wishes will be granted.
That's a dangerous thing to say to Dr. Smith.
Now, which of you do I now call mightiest of them all? Who possesses the hammer?
Yes, who possesses it? One of life's great mysteries. I think the big mystery is why she doesn't get glasses.
I do.
I do.
Silence, Ninny.
According to my memory banks, it was I who found the legendary hammer. It was I who threw it toward the Jupiter 2. It was I who...
Not another word, you bumbling bag of bolts. Pray continue, madam.
What a magnificent suit of armor!
I'm not sure why the robot is making those claims. Dr. Smith tries to explain what the robot is, but Brunhilde doesn't want to hear it.
It shall be decided in Valhalla.
There's that Valhalla bit again. The word means Hall of the Fallen, which is to say the dead. She's determined to get in there regardless of how dead he might or might not be.
Hold on. Put your arms around me.
Indeed, madam. I have no intention of so doing.
By the icy dragon blasts of Niflheim, just to hold on.
I foresee another good reason to slap Will's parents upside the head. Let's get it over with.
Dr. Smith just disappeared.
He disappeared?
Yeah, on a flying horse. Right.
On a flying horse.
Oh, Will. It's true. The horse had wings.
Now, son, we've had just about enough of these wild stories.
They still can't learn from history. His so-called wild stories always turn out to be true. There has to be some way to get that through to these two pinheads. Dr. Smith is enjoying the perks of being an Asgardian hero.
Here, have some of these.
Oh, they look delicious. What are they?
A rare delicacy, served only to the bravest of our warriors.
Naturally. I do hope they're not fattening. What did you say they were?
Dried dragonflies.
Delicious.
At least he was.
Perhaps a little trip to Earth, my dear.
Earth.
You might know it as Midgard.
Oh, yes. We were there a few thousand years ago. You wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah, it really hasn't improved any since you guys were there last. She mentions the trolls of Niflheim, and he says, I might want to check that place out. She says, you might not.
Only a fool would venture there. Thor alone has control over the icy forces of Niflheim.
Do you mean to say he's still about?
Oh, he's off charioteering across space, thundering and yo-to-hoing around like a mad thing as usual. Yo-ho! There he goes again.
We all know what's in Smith's mind. If he comes back here, there's a good chance he'll want his hammer and gloves back.
Thor will wish to do battle against you. It is compulsory that you defend your position.
Usually in a duel, the one who gets challenged gets to choose the weapons. If those rules apply here, Dr. Smith can choose a nice game of chess. But the Frost Giants have discovered that Thor lost his hammer, so they're preparing to attack Asgard. Since Dr. Smith has the hammer, he's supposed to go fight them. But he needs to watch his back because Thor is coming to fight him. I'm currently taking bets on how long it takes him to faint again.
I'm home! Brunhilde? Brunhilde!
I don't know of any legend where Thor and Brunhilde cohabited. Thor had a wife, her name was Sif. Brunhilde wasn't even the same species, essentially. The Valkyrie were a special type of quasi-angelic beings who took the most worthy dead warriors to Valhalla. I'm starting to wonder if anybody did any reading in actual Norse mythology before they wrote this, or if they got it all from the Tales of Asgard segment of the early Thor comics. If Fandral, Hogan, and Volstagg show up, I may throw something. While Thor is trying to figure out where this usurper took his hammer, Dr. Smith has discovered the missing glove. And the hammer doesn't work with only one glove.
Where is he?
Serves you right to lose your honor.
I didn't lose it!
Rumbling and thundering about, bragging from Asgard to Jotunheim. Now here's your challenge, you big thunderroll!
By the way, Thor is an overweight, bumbling blowhard, and Brunhilde is a stereotype, nagging wife. Because, I don't know from because. Thor isn't happy about Smith losing one of his gloves.
Down you go, Smitty.
Remember how you said you might want to visit Niflheim? There you go. Good luck getting out.
Scat. Shoo. 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 Scat. Shoo. Scat. Shoo. Oh, dear.
I know I said I was taking bets, but I forgot to set the timer, so never mind, all bets are canceled. Will has found the duplicate gloves, but he doesn't know they're duplicates. However, he does know that so far he hasn't met anyone with 3 hands.
Hold there!
John said he'd join Will to examine this place. Where is he? I think we can all guess he's dawdling and chatting with Maureen because he doesn't take Will seriously. He's waiting for Will to come back with another crazy story. And like all of Will's crazy stories, it's true, and John won't think of that the next time Will tells him a story. Thor is telling himself his own story. He's decided Will is an alien elf.
An elf? I don't understand.
No, you don't. None of your tricks. I've got more important matters to tend to than the tease and magic of an alien elf.
He's looking for 1 glove. Will has 3. He's not letting Thor know that.
I'm not going to give you anything until you tell me where Dr. Smith is.
Well, now he's being entertained by dear and close friends of mine.
Thor says, "Give me my glove and I'll take you to him." Will agrees.
Will!
Look who finally decided to show up.
I know how to get my gloves back. I'll take you to Dr. Smith.
Okay.
Free gloves. I'll have my own elves deal with you. March.
Look who finally decided to show up, late as usual because he doesn't believe his son. I'm tired of saying it. They're on an alien planet. They've encountered lots weirder stuff than this already, but when Will tells them about another encounter, they keep accusing him of making it up. Listen to your children, people. If your son tells you he can blow into his thumb and make the air come out his ears, ask him to show you and be amazed when he does it. If your daughter sees a fashion show on TV and says she's going to design better clothing than that, first of all, she could probably do that right now based on what I see on TV and billboards and such, but more important, encourage her to go for it. Yes, next week she'll be on to something else. So what? When it happens, encourage that too. Those kids are going to have their dreams beaten down 100 different ways without your help. Be their safe place. Let home be the one place where your child can dream of being anything from an astronaut to a zookeeper. When they tell you they went fishing in the puddle in the backyard and caught a whale, ask them how they want it cooked. Listen to your children and do not ever tear down their dreams. Do you realize that's all small children have? They aren't capable of anything else yet. You take those dreams and fantasies and aspirations away and you leave them with nothing. And that big hole you left in them, yeah, there's lots of nifty things like drugs just waiting to fill it for them. Don't do that to your kids. They're your legacy, the only truly tangible thing you're going to leave behind when you leave this world. Make sure it's a happy legacy that can truly say, they listened to me. And by the way, I don't care if your kids are 5 or 50. Are you both breathing? Then it's not too late to start. Sadly, John Robinson never figured that out. Will had lost all his teeth and one eyebrow by the time he was 25 because he got hooked on space meth.
Dr. Smith!
I'm innocent! Oh, William, my dear boy.
There's a bunch of that space meth now. Dr. Smith has his face buried in it. Little known fact, 20 years later he was the inspiration for that scene in Scarface. Thor drags both of them out and collects the gloves, but he and Dr. Smith have an appointment later.
Guard. Dr. Smith! Dr. Smith! May I assist you, Dr. Smith?
Certainly not.
In physical combat, you must inevitably be defeated.
That would be true whether the opponent were Thor or Debbie.
Therefore, in order to survive, you must use the weapons you command best.
And what would they be?
Cunning and chicanery.
He has the robot use that replicator to make him a couple of fake rocks. Thor is about half drunk, which will make the con a bit easier.
Is there any water?
What's wrong with me?
I prefer water. And also, do you happen to have a medium-sized stone?
Lots of stones.
He bit the hook. Let's reel him in. Mission Control confirmed. The fish has landed. I repeat, the fish has landed.
Allow me.
Thor has put away enough mead that he's not paying too close attention to the size and shape of the rocks, which is to Smith's advantage. Another switch and he does it again.
So sorry.
A week after this episode aired, Moses sued for copyright violation.
This fight's gonna be a bigger challenge than I thought.
For you, perhaps.
For me? Why, I'll slash and hack and...
A man who can't even squeeze water out of a stone? Of course, had you been wearing your magic gloves.
He says, we both know the gloves and the hammer are the only reason you have any strength or power or courage at all. Thor says, that's not true.
Shall we see? Don't let your basic insecurities manifest themselves. No tremulous self-doubts. No repressions. Huh? My dear child, you don't really understand your own problem, do you?
Between Asgardian alcohol and a bunch of Smith-worthy psychobabble.
Oh, dear, dear, dear.
Brunhilde is explaining to Will why it's important for Thor to fight Dr. Smith.
You see, Thor is going through a difficult phase. Losing his hammer and gloves, you know. I honestly believe he thinks that's where his courage comes from.
Doesn't he?
Certainly not. Why, Thor is the bravest of all warriors. But I have to keep finding new challenges for him.
Thor's going through a rough time right now, so he needs to kill a helpless human to maintain his sense of self-worth. The problem now is Dr. Smith just convinced him he's not a great warrior and never was. Without the hammer and gloves, he's just a guy who likes meat a little too much.
When you say it all goes back to an unhappy childhood.
Indubitably.
I see. And I didn't have any childhood.
More precisely, if he did have one, nobody cared enough to write anything down about it. Like the other Norse deities, he appears fully formed and grown and ready to fight giants and monsters and whatever else gets in his way. Dr. Smith says, never mind about that. Here's what you need to do if you want to save face with Brunhilde.
We shall tell Brunhilde that we have already engaged in the duel and that you trounced me solidly. Do you understand? The result? You will retain your title, and I shall leave here with a few chests of trinkets from Niflheim to salve my wounded pride.
He means trinkets like diamonds, rubies, and other pieces of rock that serve no purpose on the Jupiter 2.
And I thought I could slay you dead.
My dear boy, you are incapable of squashing a dragonfly.
There are moments when Dr. Smith's peculiar talents do come in handy. He's completely deflated Thor and neutralized any danger from him.
Hearken and hear ye this. Prepare for attack. Repeat, prepare for attack. Attack from Gaderud Vafthrutnir, Bergermir, Bolthorn.
The Frost Giants!
He may wish he hadn't done that.
What can I do, Doctor?
You can protect us, you idiot!
Me?
Summon the warriors! Prepare for the attack! Toho! Toho!
Toho, Toho!
You want to give that last Toho another go?
How can a warrior war when he's not a warrior?
Dr. Smith, what have you been doing to him?
It's no use. It's because of a childhood I didn't have.
Now you've done it. You've really done it.
Yeah, but the Frost Giants know how to fix it.
Hildy, honey! I'll slay him dead!
Mr. Thor, wait! The hammer and the glove!
By the star tides, which are the right two gloves?
This one, try this one.
Help me, Dr.
This is the one. No, it's on the wrong hand. Put it on the other one. No, this is the right glove. Try it, yes.
I'll be there in a minute, Hildy! Don't go away!
Where would she go? In the legends, he had to have the gloves to be strong enough to pick up the hammer. As we've seen, that ain't necessarily the case, for him or for Dr. Smith. It'll take a while for him to realize he's not wearing the gloves. That was all him. I'd say our work here is done.
Hurry up, Dr. Smith. The horse is leaving.
Dr. Smith!
Wait for me! Wait!
Toho! Toho!
Wait!
Dear.
At least he has his precious trinkets, and that's pretty much all he gets to do with them. Have them.
Mom, Dad, we're back. Will. John, Will's back.
Did either of you happen to notice what he's standing next to? Is it possible the words, "I'm sorry I didn't believe you," come to mind?
Dr. Smith, what happened?
Well, I don't quite know, my dear boy. I was sitting on this chest when suddenly... Chest? Oh, my. They did send treasure after all.
And again, what good is it to you? If she wants to give you a treasure that's actually useful, how about a year's worth of food?
Well, what did they give you?
Dried dragonflies.
I guess she heard me.
Strike!
Atta girl, Penny, right down the old pike.
Strike indeed. Anyone could see that pitch was at least a foot outside.
The umpire's decision cannot be questioned. Play ball.
It was just above the knees and right over the outside corner. Nice pitch.
Observe the stance. Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Joe DiMaggio, and Dr. Zachary Smith, all wrapped up into one.
And the way he's choked up on that bat, I'm guessing they're all 8 years old.
Strike!
How dare you! That ball was practically in the dirt.
Actually, it just caught knee level and went right over the outside corner again. Penny can pitch on my team anytime. She's good. Dr. Smith can't take it and throws one of his tantrums, so the robot throws him out of the game.
I shall take my ball, my glove, and my bat and return to the spaceship.
If you stay, we'll let you pitch.
No, I'm not sure I want to.
I say, who needs him? He'll take his ball and bat and leave. What a sport! She.
You expected what out of Dr. Smith? Tell me you didn't really expect a mature adult response. And how are those things his? He came onto the ship with nothing. He has no claim to any item on the ship because he's still nothing more than an accidental stowaway. And by the way, at the end of season 1, we saw them throwing out anything that wasn't essential, including at least one tennis racket. But they didn't throw out the softball gear.
That don't make no sense at all.
You can show us the pitch you taught Sandy Koufax, the Dipsy Doodle.
Sandy Koufax didn't throw a dipsy doodle. He was an amazing pitcher, and after he pitched a no-hitter against my San Francisco Giants in 1963, I didn't like him for a while, but I had to acknowledge his skill once I grew up a little. I'm sure Dr. Smith taught him everything he knew. And by the way, dipsy doodle is a football term, something a running back does to evade a tackle. Baseball pitchers used to use it as a joke. I think the real joke here is Zachary Smith.
Observe. This trick was taught to me by the famous Satchel Paige.
Satchel Paige pitched professionally from 1924 to 1966. As far as I know, no other pitcher has achieved that kind of longevity. Plus, he and Sandy Koufax both threw a baseball, not a softball. And finally, if Satchel Paige had used a trick like that, I doubt he would have lasted so long. If you want to join the game, you need to be on Penny's team, so it's 2 against 2. Replay her at bat. I don't have much more to say about this episode. Thor and Brunhilde are a middle-aged, overweight married couple. I think that pretty well says it all.
If you enjoyed this episode, click the like button and let us know. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you always know what is happening, because something is always happening here at Irving Zoo. We make sure of it. We control his computer. Until next time.